It is a wall pass Wednesday. Sooner or later, I will figure out the punching and getting everything to function when it comes to the show and the cameras and such. I always think that if I hit a certain button, then a certain thing is going to happen, and it doesn't, and then I'm left scrambling, and I'm going in my mass panic. What the heck's going on? Morning, Will. So anyway, that's why I end up like a second or a beat behind everything, is because of me trying to figure out what the order is in punching things so I can show up. Although there are folks that sit there and say, well, if you didn't show your face, the show would be a lot more attractive. John, hear you there. Wall Pass Wednesday. Anything is possible. Probable, possible, you name it, it's out there. Today is kind of a review preview day. Dylan Butler set to join us after the hydration break at 10 o'clock. And we'll go over some stuff that happened yesterday. I don't know if you know about these individuals named Mbappe and Haaland and Messi. Back to back to back. Craziness that you had them back to back to back in one day, and they answered the bell. We'll go into those matches. We'll let you know what happened there and get you set for today. So, and we're going to have a little fun with the highlights because of our friends at FDP, and we're gonna play a couple of highlights from them. And also, when you have a moment or moments like you had last night with Messi, and I believe, Will, that is correct. I believe he is of the Zinedine Zidane's. I believe that is the case. We will effort, but my gut remembers to tell me that I think that is in fact the case. So we'll get into Argentina and Algeria a little differently. We'll hear from our friends at FDP on match number 1 and match number 2. Match number 3, we're going to go a little different, and it's going to be fun when we get to that particular point. So that is the review part of the day. Our AST Rewind is going to end up probably being opening kickoff because it has to do with Maddie and Jason addressing the hydration break. And we'll get into their thoughts on that. If you missed it yesterday on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app, it is available as a podcast in other sections after the fact on your favorite podcatcher in the After Woodwork podcast section at 929thegame.com. They address the hydration break because others feel compelled to address the hydration break. So we'll get into that. That'll be the AST Rewind this morning. And like I said, that's probably going to end up being opening kickoff. Then getting into the preview part of everything in and around Dylan showing up at 10 o'clock. You're going to hear from a lot of folks having to do with the Three Lions. It is setup day for them as they get ready for their matchup. You're going to hear from Marcus Rashford, Kobe Mainu, Harry Kane, and Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel specifically and Harry Kane specifically addressing the Tino Livramento injury and how he is not going to be able to be a part of the squad for the World Cup, and Trevor Chalobah being called in to replace. So that'll be what you'll hear from Thomas Tuchel and Harry Kane. You'll have Marcus Rashford and Kobe Mainu to discuss what's going on with England as they get ready. You'll also hear from Roberto Martinez about handling the pressure of expectation and knowing that Portugal, it has very, very heavy expectations. And the announcement was made yesterday that regardless of result, Roberto Martinez is done for being the head coach of his side. So we'll get into that. The U.S. is getting ready for their matchup. Bart Keeler, if you were here with us yesterday from the Soccer for U.S. POD, was on early so he could leave, so he can catch a flight, go to Seattle, hopefully dodge the rain from the invest that is in the Gulf, and get to Seattle for the matchup on Friday afternoon at 3. So he's flying there today. He'll be there today, tomorrow, Friday, probably coming back Sunday. So you'll hear from Timothy Way, you'll hear from Sebastian Berhalter, and you'll hear from Max Arfsten. Max Arfsten was having a specific audience that was Columbus-based, and we were a part of that conversation yesterday, listening to our friend Chris Doran and Max Arfsten having a bit of a 1v1, so you'll hear from them. Canada prepping for their next matchup. You'll hear from Stephen Eustachio and from Alistair Johnston. So that'll get you ready for what's going on with one of the other two hosts. There's news in Major League Soccer. Bruce Arena has signed a contract extension in San Jose. We will hear from Bruce. Then in Austin, they're making player moves, and we'll get into that as well. And obviously the other news of the day that's down the pike, and we'll let you know what's going on there. There's news involving Thomas Partey. You'll hear about the South Korean media, and you'll also hear about a group in the United States based in Oklahoma City and Jacksonville that is buying teams at the National League level in England. And that came to the fore yesterday, and we've reached out to them to see if they want to come on and talk about it. So, highlights from yesterday, AST Rewind, previewing today. You're going to hear from 1, 2, 3, 4 separate. Well, you're going to previewing today and down the line. You're going to hear from 4 separate countries. You're going to find out about Major League Soccer. You're going to get your news. You're going to get your rumors. You're going to get your gossip, your innuendo, and what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it with Dylan Butler coming up in about 45 minutes. So that's the rundown for today. So, all right. So, Will, let me go before we go into opening kickoff. I want to get into Will's question. If I could spell Zinedine. So at the end is what I'm missing. Zinedine Zidane. So I was under the impression, because I had thought I had seen what was up. So let's see. Yeah, Lucas Zidane. Born in France, plays for the Algerian national team. Keeper for Segunda Division club Granada. Born in France, plays for the Algerian national team. So, yes, Lucas Zidane, and 7 caps for Algeria, and named to the squad for the World Cup. In goal for Algeria's win over the Netherlands on June 4th. So, yes, the Lucas Zidane is of the Zidanes, those Zidanes. Born in Aix-en-Provence, he's 28. And goes right now he's with Granada. He's got 42 caps with Granada, 42 matches with Granada after being at Eibar for 3 years, Rayo Vallecano before that, Racing Santander before that, and Real B. He was with France in the U's, 17 and 13, 30 caps in the U's from U16 to U20. He switched to Algeria in 25. 7 caps as keeper for the Algerian national team. So, yes, Lucas Zidane is of the Zidanes. And so so now that's that has been secured, that information is now out there. We have to do it this way.
Now you know the rest of the story.
Thank you, Paul Harvey. All right, so let's get you into opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. And if you are a coffee person, I am not, but nevertheless, if you are a coffee person, what you want to do is you want to start your day off with Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Start your day with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy-bodied, notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff, powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. This is our AST Rewind. And there are times in our cross promotion of shows and things like that where you come across moments that you're like, yeah, we gotta make sure that everybody knows about that, because Atlanta soccer tonight was on a very special time. Last night it was 6 to 7:40 before the University of Georgia Bulldogs came from behind to stay alive and take on Oklahoma, I believe, in the next round. They've got to beat Oklahoma twice. So they're in the College World Series. 6 to 7:40 last night. It was Atlanta Soccer Tonight with Maddie and Jason. And last night, they were discussing all of the major topics of the day. And one of the topics came up that had to do with the hydration break. And you can pretty much sense where this one was going. So it's not necessarily about the hydration break itself, but it's about all the kvetching that is attached to the hydration break. So Maddie and Jason addressed all of the kvetching and the wringing of hands and the gnashing of teeth that is going on currently because of the hydration break in the World Cup. They are opening kickoff this morning. It's our AST Rewind to let you know what's going on over at 92.9 The Game, the Odyssey app with Jason, Maddie, and our cast of thousands, Nightside. So here is that once again, if I could actually, play the actual segment. Nothing like sitting here and going, yeah, you teased it up and then you sit there and you're hitting the font button instead of the play buttons. Here we go.
It's silly. It's outdated. You'd think at 2026 that would be at least new material, but no, not so much. The other one that is new material is some of the international soccer people who are looking for something to yell about, and they're blaming the United States on it, which has nothing to do with it because FIFA is not based here and FIFA is not run by the United States. And if anybody thinks that it is, really, it takes about 30 seconds on a Google search to learn that FIFA likes the money in the United States in terms of doing tournaments here, but they do not really listen to U.S. soccer on a lot of things, and they never have in their history. So don't blame the hydration break thing on the U.S. That's dumb. And it's happening, and people are now like, ooh, yay, there's some fans who booed the hydration break. Yay, they're doing the right thing. They're standing up for what's right. Yay. No, because, Maddie, I might be losing my mind. It's been a lot of shows here on the station over the past couple weeks, but I seem to remember last summer during the FIFA Club World Cup, a whole lot of complaints about the heat to the point that some teams put their bench players in the locker room in the first half to be performative and cry about it. So we got to have hydration breaks. It's so hot. And now you have hydration breaks, and it's scheduled in the middle of the half, and it's 3 minutes. You know how long it's going to be because we never knew before. It'd just be whatever the ref wanted it to be. And yes, from a competitive integrity standpoint, every game in the tournament has them instead of just some. But now it's evil. It's just pure evil, according to some people. I can't keep up with the arguments anymore. I can't.
I feel like at some rate too, it's getting to a point where the conversation's been done so many times that when you tweet something or when you say something, you're doing it just to get a reaction. And listen, if you want some clicks, that's fine. Get some clicks.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do. But like, I see it and I'm just like, really? Again? Like, there's so many other things you could talk about, like Cape Verde. You could talk about, Frank. You could talk about so many other teams. You talk about so many things. Why that? No, I mean, it's funny to me because, again, you have to have hydration breaks. I think the argument, obviously, I saw it a lot yesterday because, again, the Benz is obviously in a closed stadium. You have the roof there, and everyone's like, oh, you have a hydration break, and it's, maybe 70 degrees in the stadium or whatever. It's like, yes, because, again, if you're going to have a hydration break in other games, you do have to have it in every game because it does become an advantage. Like, then you're going to have people complaining that it's not fair that some people have hydration breaks to get an opportunity to, and you don't. Like,
yeah, I would complain about that because it's again, competitive integrity.
Yeah, you're now seeing that it's being used, and again, if coaches are smart, they're utilizing it as an opportunity to maybe train strategy, to talk to players, say, hey, this is what's going on, this is how we fix it. Yeah, like I don't understand it. It makes me upset because there are so many other things we could be talking about when it comes to this World Cup, and the fact that so many people are choosing, and so much of the media is choosing to highlight that one side of it. It's dumb. I think it's actually dumb. And it's dumb. And just at the point blank, it's stupid. It's dumb. I think if you're going to continue to talk about it, find something else. There's so much other things you could talk about in this tournament that probably would get you better clicks.
Man, they're fired up. Well, and that's the only thing. I mean, that's not the only thing that people are getting fired up about. This, and I will dovetail I will dovetail on what they're going on about with another topic. And it has to do with the Alexander Sefrin alleged comments that haven't been corroborated yet. That they've yet to be corroborated. And for those that might not have heard about these particular comments, so let me see if I want to get this correct. And while it does make sense that a comment like I'm going to give you in a second is going to match an individual, but yeah, it's like you sit there and go, yeah, it kind of figures. The comment, and this is from Leona Imber at the Athletic. So, a statement released over the weekend, and so let me dial it back here. 13 Feds competing at the World Cup said they deserve respect in quotation marks, and they reject UEFA President Alexander Sefrin's recent criticism of the new 48-team format. Statement released on Sunday expressed the profound disappointment, in quotations, of the federations over comments of Sefrin in which he said the tournament's expansion from 32 to 48 teams makes for, quote, completely uninteresting matches, in quotes, published by Slovenian outlet Delo. And so I'm going to click on that and hope that we get translated to English. Yes, I get it. Fine. Give me my pop-up windows. Great. Fine. So Alexander Sefrin at a conference in Ljubljana, Jakarta, titled More Than a Game, organized by Pop TV. Alexander Sefrin, this goes back to the 9th, emphasized, and it was talking about, he was in Slovenia, said that such expansion is not good for football because, quote, we have a lot of matches that are completely uninteresting. On the other hand, even small countries can participate and feel the pulse of the World Cup, which is a big thing. So he says one thing and then he kind of covers it. So have a lot of matches that are completely uninteresting, even though not all 48 teams had played. And on the other hand, even small countries can participate. So that was how he kind of backtracked and covered himself at this conference in Ljubljana as it was released back on the 9th. So Alexander Sefrin says, such expansion isn't good for football. We have a lot of matches that are completely uninteresting. They all hadn't been played. And then he says, on the other hand, even small countries can participate and feel the pulse of the World Cup, which is a big thing. So you see where he goes one direction, says one thing. Not all 48 teams had played. I think when he had said what he said, I think we literally were in like the first weekend where you had maybe, 5, I think going into the weekend, you'd had 5 matches being played already out of all the matches that are going on on a daily basis. So on the basis of looking at 5 matches, he said 48 teams is bad, but hey, they get to participate. So he covered his tracks. And that is one of the things that gets me, is that some folks will sit there and they agree with this point of view that 48 teams is too many. It's not good for football. All of that. It's not good for it. When the Women's World Cup field expanded, there were going to be some growing pains. We knew this. Now that the men's field has expanded, all right. So let me go back. I'm going to go back to, actually, none of the matches have been played because June 11th was the first one. All right, so let's go back to Thursday. We're not even a week into this tournament. Alexander Sefrin had said that it was completely uninteresting when no matches have been played. So there you go. I was a weekend off. Mexico, South Africa, interesting. Korea Republic, Czechia, interesting. Canada, Bosnia, Herzegovina, interesting. USA and Paraguay, interesting. Qatar and Switzerland, interesting. 93-59. Brazil and Morocco, interesting. Scotland, Haiti, interesting. Even if you weren't engaged on the field, you were certainly engaged off the field. Australia and Turkey, interesting. Upset. Germany, Curacao, interesting. It was 1-1, then Germany put the pedal down, so you got to see Germany score, get a wake-up call, and proceed. Netherlands, Japan, interesting, back and forth. Cote d'Ivoire, Ecuador, interesting, 1-0. Sweden, Tunisia, 5-1, interesting, because of Sweden putting the pedal down, Tunisia firing their coach. Spain and Cabo Verde, interesting. We know what happened there. Belgium and Egypt, interesting. Saudi Arabia, Uruguay, interesting. Goal in the 80th minute for an equalizer. Iran and New Zealand, for those of you that were up late, interesting because of the back and forth. France and Senegal yesterday, we're going to get into it, but it was interesting. Norway and Iraq, interesting because of the showcase of Erling Haaland. We're going to get into it. Argentina, Algeria, great storylines going in. The boss has fallen in love with everyone. What's going on in Lawrence, Kansas with the Desert Foxes of Lawrence. Argentina, Algeria, interesting. So, and Austria, Jordan, interesting if you're up late night on the East Coast for the first time in almost 30 years. Austria is back in the tournament. Jordan's in it for the first time. So that is 1, 4, 7, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16, 18, 20 matches in a row that are interesting. 20. 2-0. 20. 2 that are interesting. 20 matches in a row that have been interesting for one thing or another. And you've had teams that are part of the expansion from 32 to 48. And literally, you have had some folks here in the United States who are U.S. writers sit here and say that it shouldn't have been expanded. It's unwatchable. Then don't watch. Go touch some grass. Go wait for the next matchup. Wait for a matchup that you want to see. And then maybe you'll be drawn in to the other matches. We've had 20 matches so far. They've all been interesting. This tournament is turned on its head with a goalless draw by Cabo Verde, who came in as a part of the expanded field. 20 matches that have been interesting so far. I would respectfully disagree with the front half of the quote from Mr. Sefrin. And I would also respectfully disagree with any pundit here in the United States that sits there and says, oh, this isn't interesting when you expanded it to 48. Tell me which game wasn't interesting. Tell me which game out of the blocks since last Thursday has not been interesting. We are in day 7 of this tournament. 20 matches have been interesting. So I hate to break it to folks. Enjoy it for what it is. Yes, in the group stage, you're going to have some surprises. You're going to have some surprises. We've already had some. We have 2 groups that are in the blender after match day 1. One of those is that group that involves Spain and Cabo Verde because of the results that happened. The Canada group is in the blender. Canada's group is in the blender. Group B is in the blender. Switzerland, Canada, Qatar, and Bosnia-Herzegovina, all in the blender. Same number of goals scored by everybody, same number of points. Can't wait for match day 2. Then also in the blender, kind of sorted Group G, because you have everybody at 1 point, but you have 2 teams that had a 2-2 draw, and the others had a 1-1 draw. Group H almost in the blender. You're looking at Uruguay and Saudi Arabia with 1 point and then a 1-1 draw, then a goalless draw with Spain and Cabo Verde. So H is in the blender. B is in the blender. And of course, it was trying to tell me that the games that involved France and everybody hadn't been played yet, which is not true. So literally, you get to groups K and L at the end of the group stage. You've got 2 of the groups that have already been played that are in the blender after match day 1. Identical numbers when it comes to points. One that is worse in the blender than the others. I mean, you want to talk about pureed? That's Group B. That is Group B. Switzerland, Canada, Qatar, Bosnia-Herzegovina. 2 1-1 draws will do that for you. But that's where we are right now. 20 matches have been played. And I can make a case that all of them have had something happen. Absolutely true, Will. Will says he just mowed his yard. He'll ship people grass clippings if they need to touch them. I like that. So Will's got grass clippings. If anybody, we probably should just ship them to these people. It's like, hey, where do you live? I'm sending you a package. Maybe just like an envelope, like an overnight envelope that has some of those clippings in them. Send them to your favorite pundits. Here, take this outside. Touch this. Enjoy the tournament for what it is. Enjoy what you're writing. Enjoy the storytelling aspect of it. I didn't anticipate this going for pretty much the first half hour of the show, but that's what we're here for. That's why we do 2 hours, if not more. Because we got to get stuff off our chest, and we like to do deep dives, and we like to let everybody know what's going on. So, hey, pundit, every game has been exciting so far. Enjoy it for what it is. Or maybe go cover something else. But there are too many people these days that want to ish on something and just be negative about it. As you heard Maddie in AST Rewind. People just, there are folks these days, whether performative or if they do actually believe in it, that they want to be negative. Negative is easier. Negative touchstones and negative ideas are easier to present to get the rabble-rousing and the reactions of one side or the other. Enjoy the sport for what it is. Enjoy the storytelling. There are so many stories out there, and we try to bring them to you as best we can. But too many folks out there want to go through the performative exercise of being negative for the sake of being negative. It's not worth my time. We got stories to tell. We got stuff to get into. We got a bunch of cool stuff to talk about on a daily basis. And anybody that says that the tournament so far has not been worthy of a 48-team field, shoot, Jason said Cabo Verde was going to get out of group. He's looking pretty good right now. But it's about the whole collective and the interactive experience and sharing of cultures. And for us to be able to find out what's going on in Lawrence, Kansas, with Algeria, with Chattanooga, Tennessee, and the Spain national team, with Spokane and Egypt, and all of the you have four high schools that are hosting teams in the World Cup. It's about that, and about all the cool stories that you come across. So, hydration breaks be damned. It's like, look, a hydration break is a hydration break. You don't have to stare at me and tell me it's something different. I know it's something different. But you've got to have it, and you take advantage of it. And there are people literally who are sitting there and saying, well, the hydration break is the cause that this team didn't have an upset. They scored, and then they went to a hydration break, and then the team that was supposed to beat them beat them. A hydration break was not the cause of the subsequent team scoring the goals that they did to get the win that they did. Let's blame the hydration break for that. How about let's focus on what's good about the game? And don't get bogged down in the idea of, oh my God, it's a hydration break. Some teams will take advantage of it, some won't. Some will be better at it than some others. It's there for you. Take advantage of it, believe in it, and envelop it in a part of your approach. Anyway, that's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting your day with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning, including reorienting everyone. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala. Heavy body, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff, powered by Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. All right, here's the review part. The review part of the show is where we go over what happened yesterday, and we get you caught up on the things that you might have missed. And yesterday, it was one of those great exercises once again. Bang, bang, bang. Star, star, star. Back to back to back. So yesterday, we start off in the Meadowlands, and it was the first match and the first chance that we got to see France taking on Senegal. And so here's how it broke down. Senegal, we know they're not afraid of anybody, and they have proven it on the world stage in the past. They were banging on the door for most of the first half, couldn't get anything in, and neither could France. So goalless at the break. Mbappe scores in the 66th after, frankly, he should have gotten a yellow for simulation trying to draw a PK. Barcola scores in the 82nd, so it's 2-0 France, and you're thinking, okay, this one's been put to bed. Then this happens. And like I said, we're going to have fun with highlights this morning. We're going to catch up and do it through our friends at FDP Radio. Jesus Acosta is on the call. And this is the exchange when it was 2-0 to where we got a moment, the first moment of yesterday involving the stars of the game. So here is that exchange that starts at 90 plus 5, courtesy of our friends at FDP Radio.
Como técnico, la pelota es larga buscando a Alice, se escapaba Alice, llegaba el cierre por intermedio de Kalidou Koulibaly, va sacando la pelota Kalidou Koulibaly, envía el balón sobre el costado, cortaba la pelota Koundé, entrega ahora el balón para Rabiot, la aguantaba Rabiot, la perdió, la recupera Senegal en la mitad de la cancha y viene la respuesta del equipo de Pape Thiaw. Ahora el centro ingresaba con la pelota de Iliman Ndiaye, ataca Senegal, el lindo regate para meterse en el área, el tiro cruzado, se metió, balón adentro, golazo. Ibrahim Mbappe, gol de Senegal. Gran acción individual de Ibrahim Mbappe que se metió en el área, le quebró la cintura al defensor, ingresó en el área, le pegó con fuerza al primer palo de Mike Mañán, la envía al fondo del arco y ahora en el agregado del segundo tiempo, con el ingresado en la segunda mitad, Ibrahim Mbappe define para el 2-1 en el partido. Francia 2, Senegal 1, gol de Mbappe por Fútbol de Primera.
You end up with
Estamos por Fútbol de Primera, radio del Mundial. Yayo de la Torre, 2-1, se puso el partido. No ha terminado esto y le quedan 2,5.
Sí, todavía más lo que venga de compensación.
Rebote desde afuera por parte de Kylian Mbappé, le pegó balón adentro, golazo. ¡Gol de Francia! Kylian Mbappé marca doblete en el partido para sellar, para sentenciar, para liquidar el partido.
So what I was trying to say, but I forgot that my levels are also determined when I'm trying to play things, that at 1 minute and 13 seconds of that clip of Jesus Acosta, you get a goal from Senegal. That's at 90 plus 5. 90 plus 5, you get that goal with Ibrahim Mbappe. And then literally 18 seconds later, Kylian Mbappe hits that thunderbolt to make it 3-1. That was your final. So that's why I wanted to play that stretch, because literally you go from Ibrahim Mbappe at 90 plus 5, making it 2-1, to 18 seconds later, literally kickoff next ensuing possession, as we say in football, the other football. Mbappe with a thunderbolt from like 28, and it's 3-1, and that's your ball game. So Kylian Mbappe scores a brace. Now would be a trend. So Mbappe gets a brace. France gets the 3-1 win. That takes us to game number 2. Game number 2 was at Foxborough and Boston Stadium, which is like an hour outside. It's halfway between Providence and Boston, but sure, it's Boston Stadium. Why not? So Norway takes on Iraq. Erling Haaland scores in the 29th minute. You know, not a shock. Everybody's cool. Ayman Hussein scores in the 39th to draw things even at 1. Then, literally 4 minutes later, after the goal is scored, here's Erling Haaland's return to his first goal and a 1-1 draw. Once again, courtesy of our friends at FDP. This time it's Kevin Rodriguez on the call.
Muy buena, ojo con esta que se viene Nusa recibiendo por el costado de la izquierda, levanta la mano, ahora va a venir el centro. Haaland, 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 ¡gol! El androide vikingo la mandó a guardar después de una descolgada por el sector de la izquierda de Nusa, que encontró muy bien a su compañero, lo esperó con ese timing y este llega y mete el centro justo para que aparezca Erling Braut Haaland. 1-0.
So you get that, and then he gets the brace 4 minutes after. And props to Kevin Rodriguez, by the way. A 20-second hold note. That is huge. And if you want to, during the tournament, if you've got a spare device, FDP has a shot of their studio, and it's a goal cam with their audio feed. And you get to see them do their work. And you see Kevin was coming out of his chair. I don't know how he had a 20-second hold note, but Kevin Rodriguez gets massive props for the 20-second hold note on the goal. Erling Braut Haaland goes from 1-0 to 1-1 to 2-1. And then Norway would be in control. Østegård scored in the 76th, and Ayman Hussein had an own goal at 90+6. Final 4-1 there in that one. And this is something that I didn't know. And this almost was something opening kickoff-ish. But apparently, and like I said, and I found this out when I was texting back and forth with my aunt. And my aunt is, she's lived in Norway, ever since she graduated college. And so we were going back and forth about what was going on. And she literally gives me this story. Literally, it's like burying the lead. She tells me this story while we're watching the match halfway around the world from each other. So here's what she says. She goes, I worked in the school system as an advisor when the individual pupil needed help. At that time, and I'm going to leave the name out for a second. At that time, this player was in junior high and will not go into senior high, meaning that his grades weren't all that great in junior high, and it looked like he wasn't going to senior high. He wants to play professional football. That was not acceptable, but his father said let him have his way. He's one of those running around on the field right now. It was Martin Ødegaard. So my aunt was a school advisor for Martin Ødegaard in junior high school. Let me see what Martin Ødegaard's up to now. See how my aunt has rubbed off on Martin Ødegaard and on Norwegian soccer. Story time with John. I couldn't find the font. But anyway, so you end up with those two moments. Norway gets the win. And you end up with a big win for Norway, +3 in goal difference as they move forward. So that gets us to the nightcap. And I don't know how many of you had the opportunity to watch said nightcap, but it was insane. And it's one of those reasons, A, that we love the game, and B, that we will watch and continue to see what comes next. So in Kansas City, and we are efforting our friend Daniel Sperry, who wrote an article for The Guardian about the Desert Foxes of Lawrence, about Algeria and their presence in Lawrence, Kansas, and KU and the whole thing. So we're efforting our conversation with our friend Daniel Sperry that we're used to seeing with the Kansas City Star. Wrote an article for The Guardian about Algeria. So Algeria and Los Albiceleste, Argentina, they're going to show off at Arrowhead, Jiha, whatever, before it turns into Kansas City Stadium for 6 weeks. So you have Algeria, who wants to acquit themselves fairly well, and they do. But there are just some forces of nature that are completely and totally beyond our control, and you don't know literally how they are perceived to be as mortals. You run out of superlatives. You run out of ideas and trying to figure out how to describe something. And there's just time where you just kind of have to sit there and you go, let it be. And the nightcap last night was certainly that way, where you had Lionel Messi, and I'm going to look up SofaScore's numbers in a bit, 17th, 60th, 76th. And the man was in rhythm. So when he is in rhythm, and I will suggest this, when Argentina is on television, flip over to Telemundo, because you have Andres Cantor calling those matches. And it is, once again, it is GOAT talking about GOAT. And just to give you an idea as to what it was like last night to have Andres Cantor and Messi in the same building, where one gets to tell the story of the other as the other is writing the story on the field, courtesy of Telemundo Deportes and FIFA. Here's Andres Cantor calling Messi's goals from last night.
Messi para McAllister. De Paul. Buena pelota para Leo. Arranca Messi, va. Arranca Messi, va. Lo hizo el más grande. ¡Qué golazo Messi! Hace venir un poco a Argelia para lanzar largo el balón para Messi. Qué buena pelota puso Messi. La tiró larga. Llega Nico González. Gran esfuerzo. McAllister ahora. McAllister al arco. McAllister. ¡Siga! ¡Messi! Que rescata Nico González para tirar este centro. Después comentará usted, Cerón, si Zidane tuvo algo. De Paul libre y es buena. De Paul muy libre y es buena. Le pica Julián por derecha, ya lo vio Messi. Ahí va Messi, prefiere con Nico por aquí. González para Messi. Messi, Messi, Messi. ¡Gol! ¡Gol! Sexto mundial en su partido 200, que estaba la duda que si había.
Yeah. So you got that from Messi last night and Andres Cantor. That literally, for those of us who are in the industry, we sit back and watch those kind of nights. I literally, I will have it dialed up. I literally will. I will have it dialed up, and I learn so much about being in the moment, understanding the place, letting the action do it for you. The first goal call where Andres Cantor is going, Messi va, Messi va. So basically it's look at, Messi look, Messi in. So, it's that way of drawing you in. And Messi gets the first goal there of his three. The second goal was straight up standard poacher where shots from the outside, and Messi, who is inside the 18, off to if you were staring at the keeper, off at a 45-degree angle from about 6 yards inside the 18, even around the penalty spot. Rebound gets, because of the force of the shot, rebound is parried and kind of pushed out a little bit. Messi sees it go down, pursues, and basically it's like literally just like one touch, and the defender was flat-footed. Messi starts his charge. Defender tries to, and it looked like the defender almost spun his wheels a little bit. Shot, keeper can't quite hang on to it. Messi's already on the run to get the slam dunk rebound. Defender is stuck. It's like he was late to the party. And you could tell, it's like as soon as Messi gets a couple of strides in him, defender just like, ish. Knew he was cooked at that point and made it 2. And then the third goal, it's the point that I made this morning on, I do a daily recap over at Georgia Public. And after that goal was scored, Lionel Messi took himself out of the game. And it wasn't because, he was injured or anything. It's like, he's just like, no, I'm good. Nope, I'm good. So the man's taking himself out of matches. It's like, no, my job's done. I'm going off to the side. 3-0 on the win. 3-0. So basically, Mbappe gets a brace. Haaland gets a brace. Messi's like, yeah, fam, hang on. I'll be with you in a sec. And so you end up with a hat trick for Messi, his first ever in the World Cup, which I thought was wild. I did not know that. I thought he'd done one far sooner than it was. So, according to SofaScore, 80 minutes. Nico Paz comes in, by the way. This is your subs. Molina, Nico Gonzalez, Julian Alvarez, Otamendi, and Nico Paz. Those were your subs for Montiel, Thiago Almada, Martinez, Cristiano Romero, and Messi. So here's Messi's numbers, by the way. 3 goals, XG of 1.05, 6 total shots, 4 on target, 1 offside. Passing numbers. 30 of 37, 81%, had 1 cross, 2 key passes. Passes in the opposition half was a higher percentage than his own half, 2024 at 83%. Dribbling. 57 touches. Total carrying distance of 252.3 meters, 25 carries, 7 progressive carries. And his progressive carrying distance, 125.9 meters, total progression of just under 161. Longest progressive carry was 38 meters. Messi got a perfect 10 last night on SofaScore. I know that's a shock. Simon Marciniak, by the way, it's the same crew that was the attached to the 22 final in Qatar. But yeah, Lionel Messi, hat trick, perfect 10, and had those numbers last night. 17th, 60th, and 76th minute. And man pulled himself out of the match. He pulled himself out. That's what you get now with Lionel Messi. 38 years old, and he's like, yeah, I'm good. Hat trick ties him with Miroslav Klose, most goals in World Cup history at 16. First player ever to appear in 6 World Cups, broke Paolo Maldini's record for consecutive World Cup appearances. Scored against 11 different nations in World Cup play. Goal contributions have surpassed Pele's mark now of 24. 38 years, 357 days old, became the oldest player to score a hat trick in World Cup history, surpassing Cristiano Ronaldo's mark by more than 5 years. Messi's now the only player to have scored in the World Cup both as a teenager and at 38 or older. Scaloni last night. At a loss for words about Leo. What can I say? He's incredible. Pushed back on the idea a bit that any of this should be expected just because Messi's done it before. Scaloni said it's not about imagining if he could have a start like this. He's been doing it for 20 years. People who watch football want to see him. It's not just Argentines. Beyond the result, we have to enjoy him. What he transmits to the world is incredible. And that is what we've been getting at this morning here in the first hour of the show. It is the watch. It's why we watch. Lionel Messi still at this level at the age of 38 and almost 39. He'll be 39 in the tournament. And so Kansas City got to see Lionel Messi, and 3-2-2 is where we are. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo today has seen his record fall, and don't think for a second that he wasn't in that hotel room or wherever he was, eating his grilled chicken and having his massage gun and everything else that's attached. Don't think he wasn't watching that stuff at all, that he was not looking at that one bit. He was. You know he was. If he tells you anything, I was focused on myself. No, sorry, don't buy it. Portugal, by the way, in the juice boxes, minus 370 hosting DR Congo, who's a plus 1,200, draws a plus 475. 4 o'clock, England and Croatia. England a minus 143, draws a plus 275. Croatia's a plus 425. 7 o'clock, Ghana and Panama in Toronto. Ghana a plus 135, draws a plus 229. Panama a plus 225. Late night, Uzbekistan and Colombia. Uzbekistan is a plus 850. Colombia is a minus 263, and your draw is a plus 390. So it's 4 matches today. And you wonder what Roberto Martinez is going to be up to with Portugal, because of what we saw. Because of what we saw yesterday. You wonder. My first question is Roberto Martinez going to be forced to start him? Don't know. We'll find out when they lay out the lineup. He's also set to step down as Portugal's manager at the end of the World Cup. And it's also understood by our friends at Sky, Jose Mourinho had a verbal in place to take over Portugal after the World Cup before being offered the Real Madrid job. So Roberto Martinez heading back to take some time off, maybe get back into coaching domestically. He was asked yesterday about dealing with pressure. And here's his thoughts on how you handle pressure in situations like this. And it comes down to the experience in and of itself.
You mentioned the rational part of it, but I wanted to ask you about the emotional side and your role as the manager to deal with nerves. Of course, this team has a lot of experienced players, but how do you see your role in helping the players manage nerves, especially considering how Portugal is seen as one of the favorites in this World Cup?
I think obviously is a beautiful aspect, because the emotions, the feelings of representing a national team in a World Cup, they are very natural. So we don't have to fight them. I think what you need to override them is with clarity. Clarity is what you do when you are on the pitch and in certain moments, that you cannot be guided by emotions and just feel that you have to do something different. It's a collective work, it's a sport that we need everybody to be thinking in the same line. And I think the national team coach and the technical staff need to constantly give that clarity, because that overrides emotion. But I would never stop a player feeling emotional about being in a World Cup, because it's beautiful. It's a one-off opportunity in your career. I think if you get the opportunity to have one World Cup as a player in your career, you're very fortunate. If you got 2, it's a gift. If you get 3, is something that is going to change your life forever. And we got a player that is going to be having his 6. So I think you can take your own assumption from that. But I think it's beautiful. Emotions are fine. And one of the things, we need to match the emotions of Congo, because it's not the same for us to be in a World Cup that probably we got very little to win tomorrow in terms of the outside. If you win against Congo, it's expected. If you win by 1, it's a big problem. If you draw, it's a catastrophe. If you lose, this is the end of the world. And you got a team that they are with no expectations, that they are enjoying being here. We've seen it, incredible performances. Teams like Qatar, Cabo Verde, exemplary performances, that it shows you that there are no easy games. And in a World Cup, You can change a game to make it a bit easier if you score the third goal like Germany did, but until the 30th minute was a competitive game. So we expect totally tomorrow a difficult game with emotions, and we need to match those emotions, positive emotions of the Congo team.
Someone maybe should take that soundbite and send it to Alexander Sefrin. I'm just saying. So Roberto Martinez understanding the context of everything that is going to be going on with a matchup today as Portugal kicks off their World Cup, as they are going to be chasing after a World Cup title. Morning, Katie Weaver. Thanks for dropping in. Just to think, when Argentina won in 22, we all thought it could be Messi's last one. Yeah, I know. Never underestimate Lionel Messi. Morning, Nix. It's good to have you back. So that's the early part of hour number one, where we've been discussing things, a lot of things, most of them having to do with this World Tournament. We do have some MLS stuff to get into in addition to what's going on the World Cup. So we bring in our buddy Dylan Butler. And Dylan, do you have your hydration ready?
I thought that break is coming up in 20 minutes.
Well, it could. I mean, we could have our hydration break right now. I mean, but it's not going to be a 3-minute thing. I mean, it's just basically.
I'll do that right now.
Hydration break. Yes, brought to us by our friends at Local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor Stores. 2 locations, Johns Creek and at Cumberland Parkway. And as always, great friends with us here at SDH. We always like to have our hydration breaks to get ready at the halfway
point. Very important.
Yes. I'm debating where to start. When you watch, as a fellow announcer, do you watch Andres Cantor? Do you set it aside? When you're watching, are you watching? How much of it is watching as a fan? How much of it is watching as an announcer, trying to look at things with other announcers and how they do things? How much of it is the professional you, and how much of it is the fan you?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Because the reason I ask is because when last night you've got Andres Cantor on Telemundo calling an Argentina match, that for us it's both. We get the masterclass and we get to enjoy it as fans. I didn't know if you split yourself up in those kinds of situations.
Yeah, I mean, you allow yourself to enjoy moments like what we witnessed last night, right, as a fan, but also for sure, like, it's probably not unlike, I don't know, if you're a chef at a restaurant, you go to another restaurant, you're going to enjoy the food, you hope.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you're like, oh, that's interesting how they, made this this asparagus spear this way, or the flavor that they used, or like, that's okay. Maybe it's something I can maybe use here in my kitchen. So
you mentioned all the green stuff. Me and green stuff, that never happened. So yeah, I naturally just chortled when you mentioned asparagus.
But I did. So truth be told, just for no, I don't know, good reason, I guess, whatever. I've just had Fox on most of the time, right. And I did switch over to Telemundo last night, and I feel like I'm sticking there now.
Oh yeah. I have been watching Telemundo the entire time. And for those that have not been watching Telemundo, literally it is game and it is review. It is game, review, preview, game, review. Literally, that is what they do. That is them the whole time. And, it's not it's not trying to be it's not trying to be the 5-star chef to sit there and tell you that this slab of something that was created that looks like the size of a petit four is supposed to be the best damn pizza that you've ever had. Telemundo literally is like game, review, preview, game. That is how they're doing it. And I've been.
There was a moment in the Fox pre-game last night.
How do you know which is which? But go ahead.
Where I think it was. I don't even think Lallis. I don't even know. There was a question about barbecue and Argentine versus Kansas City. Like it.
No.
Yeah.
No. I'm still here. Keep talking.
No. It was
no. You don't do that.
cringy.
No, you don't. I mean, legitimately, the whole thing is now. If you were smart, you would have had an asado ready to go. If you're in Kansas City and you're at the P&L district, you have that asado ready to go, man. I mean, that's not if you're going to have that conversation, you're not having it as a blendable conversation. You're going to have one part about Kansas City barbecue, Kansas City steaks. I read a stat, and I've got to double check the number, but apparently Argentina's staff brought in 500 kilograms worth of beef for the team for this World Cup run. They imported it themselves. They brought in their own beef for their asados, for their cooking, for everything, just so the team would be as properly fed as humanly possible while they're there in Kansas City. And I mean, dude,
I would believe it. Yeah.
If you're in a city that you want to have steaks and beef and everything, and you still bring in your own, I'm wondering what the guys do on their days off. Could you imagine? I mean, that's like almost a perfect storm. Everybody's wondering about, well, why did Argentina go to Kansas City? We now know it's the beef. It's the backup plan in case the 500 kilos that they bring in on their own gets, completely and totally destroyed after like 4 days by everybody there. But no. Asados are different. Barbecue and steak is different in Kansas City than it is with the asado in Argentina. It's just, why, people? Why?
I remember, back when I was kind of like regularly every day covering NYCFC and they would have maybe, I don't know if it's a weekly thing, maybe it was a monthly thing, but they would have an asado. And I know, Atlanta was famous for those as well, with LGP there and everything. But like, so there was never like, sometimes you'll hear, oh, we have some leftovers or whatever. You guys want some turkey wraps or, but there was never leftovers.
I'm shocked
on that day. And like your pitch side and you're like, oh my goodness. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, you're sitting there going, man, I needed to be here earlier. I needed to take care of business. And I needed to just kind of, I needed to sample all of that stuff. I mean, that to me, just why? I mean, I know why, but I feel like Ross. Why? That you're having those kinds of things. No. That is not how this works, people. That is not how this works. When you're, good God. See, now you got me all fired up about. You got me all fired.
So that was. I was like, I'm going to Telemundo going forward now.
Yes, I'm Telemundo.
Plus, I was on the desk last night, and obviously, then you're like Messi quotes and such, and they're going to come from Telemundo. So
yes, they are, and that's the. I just got my. I got my my Omaha Steaks text about here. Buy this, and I'll be like, well, not so much. It almost seems like with Messi, nothing should surprise us anymore. I'm serious. I mean,
I chuckle because that's like, so you and I and everyone who is, watching and listening, like we're all MLS people, so we understand.
Yeah.
But when you bring in the world audience, and some of whom are only watching every 4 years, they're like, he's how old? Like, no way. Like, he can't possibly. And we're like, just hang on a second.
Yeah.
Just, like, yeah, he has one, but he's not quite, yes, we know he has two, but 1 second, please.
Well, and you look at the surrounding players. Jason was mentioning this last night. And it's like when you can sub out who you sub out and you bring in who you bring in, it's almost mean. It's like you bring in Nico Paz, you bring in Julian Alvarez. You're like, damn, man. I mean,
I just think I thought it was so cool, because like I'm watching over the course of the day, and it starts with Mbappe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like over in East Rutherford, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, what a performance. That was incredible. And then you knew you'd have, Haaland coming up after. You're like, what is he going to bring? And like, then, he scores a brace. And then Messi's like, hold my mate. Hang on.
Yeah. It's like, sit tight, fam. We're good. And we played it was literally 18 seconds between the time that the goal was scored by Senegal. Then Mbappe hit that thunderbolt from like 28, and you're sitting there going, yeah, but Luis Enrique is still correct. I still think that there's going to be a moment, and it's not going. That France is not going to. France is not going to win a championship. Haaland, you knew he was going to get his. What do you think Cristiano Ronaldo was doing last night in the hotel or wherever he was in his hyperbaric chamber?
Yeah, he was he was either like in his like tube, sleeping or regenerating, or maybe stewing, because I don't think he's not in the starting 11, right? He hasn't been.
He hasn't been. But what do you think is going to happen? I mean, this literally is Roberto Martinez's swan song. What do you think is happening, like all the way from the hotel or the presidential suite or wherever Cristiano Ronaldo is? He's literally like, you think he's grabbing Roberto Martinez every chance he gets? He's like, hey, Skip.
I'm feeling good today. I'm feeling good.
Skip, I'm feeling good. It's like, so have you decided yet? Have you decided? Yeah, I think I'd be really good today. I think that and I'm sure that they're going to say whatever they're going to say, but I can guarantee you, and I almost put the word in the middle, that Cristiano Ronaldo was watching that match in his hyperbaric chamber, and it was probably hermetically sealed and it was soundproof, so you couldn't hear him screaming about everything that Messi was doing last night. I just have this vision of him sitting there and just being like popping up over Roberto Martinez's shoulder. He's eating breakfast, the hotel buffet. All of a sudden, you see somebody sidling in. He just kind of swoops in from the side. Hey, Skip, you decide yet? No, Cristiano, I have not decided yet. We'll talk about it later. Okay. And then you see him exit. And then he's like walking down the hall, or he's coming out of the bathroom. All of a sudden, you see him just swoop in again. So, decide? No, Cristiano, we have not decided yet. Just literally every 15 seconds, they hop on the bus. So sit next to me. Let's talk. I just have this vision like every 30 seconds of him doing a separate activity. Cristiano Ronaldo is trying to impress. Hey, man, I got to start today.
Like he's looking out the hotel door, like in the hallway. Like, is he coming? No.
Is he there? Is he?
He hears the elevator ding, and he's like, "Is that no?"
And then he steps out, and then all of a sudden, swoop! He just comes right in from the side. Literally,
he's like, "Oh, Skip! I didn't even know you'd be out here." What are the chances?
Who knew that we would be catching up like this? The 48.
Or he gets the same elevator as him, like everybody else out.
Yes, it's like this one's full. We got to talk. We got to talk. Everybody outside the elevator is like, oh damn, and we know what's happening here. Have you how much of the tournament have you consumed of the 20 matches?
Not 20 matches full, but more recently than previously, I would think.
Okay.
Watched US and as much of Canada as I could, of course, and being on, of course, for some of these matches helps. So did not stick around after. Sorry, Austria.
No, that was too much. I couldn't. No, as much as.
But I will say the other was it a 9:00 or 10:00? The New Zealand game.
Oh, the Ireland.
That was a banger.
Iran, yeah, that was I think that was another 10. It was out. It was out there. It was late.
It was a fun one.
It was out there and it was late. The 48-team field. Alexander Sefrin apparently, allegedly, might have said that it's uninteresting before the tournament had even started. You're going to get uninteresting games. So he's not a fan of the 48-team field. What about you?
I wasn't a fan of it to begin with, but then you get situations like you see with, Cape Verde, right? And Spain. And they probably would not have been anywhere near the 48 team field, right? So I think like any of these other things, very rarely do we go back from decisions that were made. So we're going to see 48 going forward. Could even see more. Hydration breaks are staying. The 26-man roster is, you know what I mean? Like all these things are part of the kind of norm now. So, yeah, I mean, look, you're gonna what we will see, and like we saw with Germany, right? Like we're gonna see some blowouts, no doubt, and teams that are overmatched. But every now and again, you can get like the NCAA tournament, right? Like the McKee State or McNeese State or something, like one of these teams that pulls off something that you've never even dreamed of seeing.
Ali Farouk Manesh in Northern Iowa.
Yeah, right. See? Exactly.
You get those. You get those, and we've seen that. Even though it was, Cabo Verde defeats Spain in goalless draw. You get that. For me, obviously, it's like I said, we've been talking about it this morning. It's all about, for me, it's about the stories. Now the USMNT, they're working their way up to Seattle for round number 2 or for match day 2 in the group. And after having as pitch perfect a performance, say that 10 times fast, as you had.
Oh, before we talk tactics in the game, when I was watching, like Stu Holden made a great point, and I think it's true too. And I want to get your perspective of this. So I go back, my first World Cup that I watched was 90. Okay. So, and that was the first one that the US was in since 1950. Obviously they hosted in 94, spectacle that was, and then 98 was a disaster. And then, 02, you're watching games at 2 and 3 in the morning. Sure. And, anyway, we're used to watching the US play international friendlies and Gold Cup matches, and more often than not, they are home, but they're not home, right? Like they are outmatched. And you think back to the Costa Rica qualifier, right? Like, but bring all that forward. That was, in California, which is, listen, it's like New York, right? Like there's a lot of different cultures, and you're concerned about the crowd. Like that was amazing. There was never, such a pro US crowd that was that loud and in it, and that was something to say.
Fun-ish, and
you would suspect that would be ramped up even more in Seattle.
And the numbers came out with the viewing that apparently the match with Paraguay, combining all of the broadcast networks, the highest or the most watched soccer match in U.S. History since they've metered the households of over 27 million on a combination of Telemundo and Big FOX.
And you figured you'd have those numbers, right? First match that they're playing, it was a good time slot, and then you're like, as people like we are who are invested in the sport here, right? You're like, please don't lay an egg. Like, don't, like, you've got so many first time viewers, like, don't have a 0-0 or God forbid lose, and then to put in the performance they did, was amazing.
And now it's like, so now what are you going to do for an encore, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Now you have to worry because you have everyone like, Australia. Come on, man. Like, we're rolling over these dudes, and you got to like pump the brakes. You got to bring that same mentality.
Like, yo, fam, calm down. I mean, there are some pundits here in this country that when the draw came out and they saw Australia, they're like, yeah, piece of cake. We got that one. And obviously Australia has put that on the bulletin board in every locker room that they've been in with this one particular pundit. And
well, fortunately for the US, I think the result that Australia did get, that if the team had those thoughts, they go right out the window, right? Like underdog in the match they were playing. Like, so, there's no doubt they're taking them seriously.
And that's the thing. It's like you gotta boogie right now. Yes, you are a prohibitive favorite. You're a minus 164. Australia's a plus 4.25, and you get that. But and the thing is, you got to take care of business in that match on Friday afternoon, so you're not having to sit there and bite your nails and have to do something against Turkey in the group finale. You want to take care of business in Seattle on Friday afternoon, so you're not wondering, you're not sitting there with your hands and trying to sit there and have all that nervous energy. You want to take care of business, put this one away, and so that way you can win the group and then kind of figure out where everything goes from here. So
yeah, that's the most important part of it, right? Like, can win the group, right? Like, you have a pretty good thought that you're going to advance, especially after winning the first. But now it's about, all right, well, like, you have no idea how these other groups are going to go, but let's put ourselves in the best possible position to stay on and continue on in this tournament, right? So coming in, I thought, quarterfinals would be great. After that, it's kind of gravy, but can you get to that modern era high water mark? It's only 90 minutes so far, but they look great.
And then to the other team that is in our footprint, that is not El Tri, that has massive expectations. Canada, they're having to deal with injuries. Still don't know the status of some folks heading into the matchup against Qatar. Yes, you're a big favorite tomorrow night at 6, but your group, I think it's B and G, are the two groups right now that are in the blender, and B, the Canada group with Canada, Qatar, Bosnia, Herzegovina, and Switzerland. That one is literally, it's honors even after match day 1. And you've got a lot of folks who are already sitting there gripping, and they're looking at the 4-4-4-4. They're looking at the possibility of a team that would not have even won a match making it in as the winner of the group in this one. And, Jesse Marsh signs an extension even before the tournament starts. So there's a lot of stuff at play here for Canada. The self-imposed pressure now that you're keeping Jesse Marsh, and it was a 1-1 draw, and you had to bring Kyle Aaron off the bench to get to that 1-1 draw. There's a lot of stuff going on for Canada. And, I mean, yeah, you're a favorite against Qatar, but look, 93-59, they got an equalizer, and they cannot be taken lightly either as you're getting ready for that one. And keep an eye on that one tomorrow night around dinner time.
For sure. And because of the result in the first one, of the co-hosts that we're kind of talking about here, I think there's more pressure on Canada, certainly, right, to get that. And you wonder too, especially because they've been chasing it. Like, they don't obviously have the World Cup history that the US has, but they're still looking for their first win. So, if they get that against Qatar, what does that do for the collective confidence? Is it like letting air out of the balloon, and now that pressure is out and they could play freely and get a little swagger? It didn't feel like they played with swagger in the first one. Like, it was like nervous energy, like, we have a big crowd where it's the first World Cup, match on Canadian soil ever. Like, a lot of things that neither of the other two co-hosts had to deal with. Right? There's already been World Cups in Mexico. There's already been a World Cup in the United States. So, thankfully for them, they at least got an equalizer out of it. But yeah, now it's 3 points. 3 points or kind of bust here.
It is. And you wonder, are Jonathan David and Ali Ahmed going to start? You wonder about the health of Ali Ahmed. Could you see Alphonso Davies playing in Vancouver? There are a lot of coulds and wills. You don't want that going into as important a game as Canada is going into, because I want to say it's like a half a dozen dudes that you've got to sit there and monitor for one knock or another going into this matchup against the team, and that surface in Vancouver, we know as we from late night crazies and MLS After Dark, that surface at BC Place was one thing, but now you'll wonder what it's going to be like with even Stevens. I mean, I'm intrigued to see how it responds in its new form, at least temporarily. But
And that's the other funny thing, right? Like you have all those guys, like, you know, what is are they training? Are they training on the side? Or what kind of treatment? Like how many minutes? And you know, and yes, it's a big one for the U.S., but the only one of those is Pulisic right now, right? So you're like,
yeah,
like again, it's the parallels between the two of them. It's pretty crazy.
And one it's like, so there's a lot less for the U.S. to have to worry about, but it's a big worry.
Sure,
because getting kicked in the calf, man, that's never fun. That is never fun. Getting kicked in the calf or getting that cramp in the middle of the night or whatever. It's just not a fun feeling. And I'm intrigued with what it's going to look like with the men's national team. But yeah, Canada's match, that's got a lot more questions for me, and it's got a lot more stuff to worry about from a national team and a host perspective.
For the U.S., you're like, oh man, if they can get the early goal like they did against Paraguay, then you're like, all right, like we're not hitting cruise control yet, but like that's a big one. Like, have the crowd behind you, have them on their heels.
Mm-hmm. Before I let you go, Bruce Arena signs a contract extension in San Jose, and I was intrigued. Apparently, he's getting told the right things by the front office. John Fisher, I think John Fisher still owns the Quakes, doesn't he? I think he does.
Yes.
And so hang on. So San Jose Earthquakes. See, now I'm following. I was because I had a joke and I was going to use it, but I didn't want to use it and then not be right because I didn't want to get into. Okay, so hang on. I say nothing like doing this for a punchline. Okay, so yes, so it appears that John Fisher has hired a bank to figure out how to sell the club, and it looks like they've been on the market for about a year. So I was going to make a joke about he seems to be putting more money into the Quakes than he does to his athletics. So we see the results, and Bruce Arena happy, and he's staying in San Jose. But I would imagine, obviously with the young talent that's coming up through the pipeline, the young talent that they have found, that he's been given a lot of good reasons to stay, especially after what we were all thinking might happen. It might be a slow start this year. No such thing. You're bringing in talent, you're bringing in names, so it's all seemed to be blending together. And you're keeping Bruce Arena happy, and you're keeping him around.
Yeah, I mean that was an interesting one too. Feels like everyone's getting thrown extensions these these days, right?
So Bruce Arena gets an extension in San Jose, and then there were a couple of other, news and notesy things, players being given their buyouts. I think we're going to be seeing a little bit more of that. Robert Taylor got his buyout in Austin. I figured with everything that's going to be happening in Austin, I don't necessarily think that Robert Taylor would be fitting what Jim Curtin wants when it comes to Austin 2.0 and what we're seeing from Jim Curtin. I just have this vision of Curtin when the season kicks back in with like his little notepad up in the 200 section at Q2. Not quite like Thorington doing the Batman pose at the top of BMO, but I figure he's going to have his glasses on. He's going to have his big notepad. And he's going to be taking notes or something. But Robert Taylor was given the buyout from Austin. What have we not talked about that was on your mind that you have seen in the last week?
No, I think we
got it all. We got the list.
We checked the boxes. Yeah, I mean, we talked Telemundo, Fox. We talked hydration breaks.
Yes, we did.
Messi. Although, let's see what Harry Kane brings today. Right, that's the other big dog of the goal scoring group.
I mean, it's just the immense pressure that is attached to Harry Kane and Tommy Too Cool for School and all that kind of stuff. I don't think it's not going to hit him yet, but just the pressure of expectation is what I'm going to be looking at when it comes to England. And no, it's not coming home. I don't think it is.
And then Messi will text him like, "Let me tell you about expectation."
Yes.
Pressure.
Yeah, he puts his arm around Thomas Tuchel. Now, Thomas, I'm going to talk to you for a sec. Yeah. This is what it's all about. As always, my friend, it's great to see you and kind of let everything go on a Wall Pass Wednesday, no matter what direction it goes. And so are you're just in game watching and game reporting mode right now?
Yeah, just some odds and ends to end the lacrosse season with both USA Lacrosse Magazine picking out players of the year and things of that nature. And there's like a Long Island lacrosse showcase coming up end of this month. But other than that, it was all World Cup. Knicks are done, obviously. Knicks win.
Yes, they do. Bang! Yes.
Knicks in 5. And by the way, you Knicks just actually, I'm in stoppage time here, I know, but
fine. It's all good.
From being in the broadcasting world, right? Like that was so cool that Mike Breen got to call that.
Yes.
I think. Because in today's world, you've got local broadcasters are thrown to the side once the playoffs begin in every sport, right? And now it's, the national team and the national group. And, Mike Breen is such a good play-by-play guy that he gets included in the national, but then all of a sudden it's his team that is making this run. So for him to be on the call, like I was, back in 94, it was different then in the world, but like I was going to all the Ranger games. I was at the Cup, final and saw Lord Stanley in person. And by the way, New York did not burn that night. A different time. But to hear Sam Rosen and JD, on the call for MSG, like that was awesome. You don't have that experience, unfortunately, anymore. So that was a small sliver of, like, for me, coolness that Breen was on the call of that one.
Yes, and for announcers, like I said, and we know what it means to be attached to teams, and what it means that they're part of the fabric of it as much as the players are. For those announcers to be attached and to finally, after all of this time of banging your head against that wall, to finally get the championship, and for Mike Breen to be able to get the call. Do they get rings? Do he and Clyde get rings?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, and Clyde's ring is probably going to have to be just off to the side. It's not going to look like all the others. So as the grateful master of everything lacrosse in the Northeast, Varsity Media on the YouTubes when it comes to everything lacrosse, and with us on Wednesdays to do everything Wall Pass. As always, my friend, great to see you. We'll catch up next week. It will be 2 matches down with the U.S. and Canada and Mexico, and we'll find out what the hosts are doing and how much pressure is going to be applied by outside forces when it comes.
Yeah, and we'll see how many more goals Messi has scored at that point.
That too. Yes, absolutely. As always, my friend, it's great to see you. We'll catch up with you next week.
All right, buddy.
There he goes, Dylan Butler, MLSsoccer.com. And it's always great to catch up with Dylan. And Dylan, I think, personifies Wall Pass Wednesday more than anything, because Dylan and this probably is scary, that Dylan knows where my brain is going at any given moment. And so then if Dylan can follow my brain pattern, then he can sit there and he'll go off in another direction, and then I'll know where he's going, so I can be with him there. And so we kind of are in this insane rhythm when it comes to knowing what Wall Pass Wednesday is all about. But it's always fun to catch up with Dylan. And much like every other guest that we have here, this is the amount of notes that I had going into this segment. This is what we traditionally do with Dylan. Literally, it's like, hey, what's up? It's been like a week. But yeah, this is the amount of notes that I had going into this segment to have the Q&A with Dylan. Okay. Speaking of Bruce Arena, we mentioned MLS. So we'll get into MLS, and then we'll preview the day with the World Cup, and we'll go from there. Bruce Arena held his opportunity yesterday. Here's part of that conversation. Bruce Arena signs a contract extension in San Jose. This is courtesy of the Quakes their own selves.
far? Yeah, it's been nice. You know, it's a good group of people here. The fan base is good. The community is good. Everything here has been great. Got maybe the best weather in the world as well, which doesn't hurt. And it's been a fun opportunity, and especially with the group of guys that we're working with and trying to develop. So there's been a lot of positives here. Hopefully we can continue to get better.
You know, on those positives, we've seen some of the material improvements. You know, another training field, some of the team facilities. What is next for this club? What is John and you talked about?
Well, that's certainly a decision the owner makes, but obviously we'd like to continue to improve our training facilities, improve our roster. You know, we're getting the support we need at the moment. There's no complaints here. It's been good. We've been able to improve the roster. We've been able to improve facilities. You can't do everything overnight, so I think in a short period of time we've made a lot of progress.
Do you feel with the contract extension you're going to be able to see some of that through? Is that part of the plan?
Hopefully, you know, I do have a death clause in my contract, so if I die, my contract's null and void. So, you know, who knows? We'll see.
Good, Marco.
Bruce, with MLS switching to the European schedule next year.
The world, kind of like the world schedule, yeah.
Yeah, the world's going to become a world schedule now. Yeah. Was that one of the reasons why you wanted to sign this extension, knowing that you're a good recruiter and you could bring some of that European talent eventually here to San Jose?
Well, it didn't have to do with the calendar, ownership was interested in me staying around longer. You know, I was entering an option, and they wanted to extend that. The calendar had nothing to do with it, but the calendar's going to make things interesting, and certainly I think it allows MLS to probably attract more players to our league, and I think after the World Cup you're going to see a lot of quality players coming to MLS as well.
Bruce Arena signs a contract extension in San Jose. The terms are through the 28-29 MLS season. And then so they announced it having to do with the team returning to training. And so Bruce Arena signs a new deal in San Jose. Teams are kind of drifting into training right now in MLS. Atlanta United had their training this morning, and there's still be going on right now, but I think the availability to watch them come back to practice has come and gone. I think Jason is up there, and just keep an eye on your favorite pundits and hosts and things for all the news. I think that looking at Doug Robertson, it did not look like Steven Alzate was on the practice field, nor Juan Barracol, and Alzate still nursing the injury. So just keep an eye on your favorite sources when it comes to what's going on at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. So Bruce Arena, new contract through 28-29. Tied on points, first place in the Western Conference. First time in 14 years after setting league and club records heading into the summer break with the World Cup. Hybrid training availability was yesterday. Quote from John Fisher, managing partner. Once again, 10-3-2 after 15, eclipsing the best start achieved in 2012 when they got the pie plate. So 5-0-1 on the road, opening the campaign, 6 consecutive shutouts, 1 more victory in 26. Quakes will match last year's regular season total. Arena and his staff have played a key role in the individual development of a roster with the most domestic players, 20, the most former college players, 19 in Major League Soccer. Nico Shakiris, nursing an injury, currently second MLS in assists with 7, first in chances created. Preston Judd, one of the top 5 scorers with 11 goals. Reed Roberts and Daniel Muni have turned into one of the great center back pairings in the league. You bring in Timo Werner, you bring in Daniel, and that's where you are. So Bruce Arena signs a contract extension, returning to action Friday, July 3rd in a friendly against Club Tijuana, and that is at PayPal Park. So through 28-29, Bruce Arena is locked in San Jose. We mentioned Robert Taylor and Austin using their buyout for Robert Taylor, with Jim Curtin and everyone else working their way in. Do not be surprised if there's more activity in Austin. AZ Jackson returns to the Polish League after being on loan with the Whitecaps. So that has happened. San Diego has loaned forward Anis Saidi to Monterey Bay through the end of the calendar year. Loans effective as of 5 days ago. San Diego FC has the right to recall. 17-year-old joined back in 25, acquired his homegrown priority from Philadelphia. Dibs. Basically, it's all it is. But the 17-year-old has been sent to Monterey Bay FC, and San Diego has the right to recall at any given time. So that is, I think that is the news from the MLS perspective of things. And so that means it is time for us to get into the preview section of the program and break down everything that we are anticipating from the matches today. We've gone through the juice boxes, and we'll lay those out before you once again before we get out of here. Morning, Abby. And we'll once again, we'll break it all down for you here. We got some sound with some of the previews. First off, here is from the press conference yesterday at the MD-1, an opportunity for carousel to call from Sky to kick off the press conference with Thomas Tuchel and Harry Kane about the Tino Livramento situation, about not being able to have him as one of your multifaceted players that you could pretty much plug and play in anywhere. Livramento out with an injury, removed from the squad. Trevor Chalobah now in. So here is that Q&A with both Thomas Tuchel and with Harry Kane to lead off the MD-1 yesterday. And once again, courtesy of our friends at FIFA. So you'll hear carousel call from Sky, Thomas Tuchel, and Harry Kane.
Thomas, first of all, Tino Livramento has been very unlucky with injuries. How disappointed was he that he had to pull out, and how disappointed are the rest of the players? And can you talk us through your decision-making process in calling up Trevor Chalobah?
Yeah, Tino was of course very disappointed and very sad. All of us were. It was kind of a little shock in training when he stopped training, and he straight away had the feeling that this can be an injury that costs him the tournament, and he was unfortunately right. After assessment, we got the information that it's about 4 or 5 weeks, injury of 4 or 5 weeks, which is unfortunately too long to keep on like rebuilding and reintegrating him into the squad. So we took the decision to send him home. Was of course disappointed, and so were we. He was a key player and in good shape and available for both sides for us as a fullback. We called Trevor Chalobah up because then we free up Jarell Kwanzaa as a fullback on both sides, and Chad Spence can both sides fullback. So Trevor comes as a centre back alternative and gives us full coverage in the back four.
Thank you. And Harry, last time out at the Euros, there was so much debate about your form and your fitness. How do you feel going into this major tournament? And do you think this is the best chance you have of winning a major trophy with England?
Yeah, I'd say from a personal point of view, it's the best, coming off the best season that I've ever had, first and foremost, just from a fact point of view. Obviously scoring a lot more goals than what I have in any other previous season, which is obviously pleasing. But I think also just physically and mentally, the way the season ended for me was obviously in a great way to win the league and in the cup final and to score the 3 goals there, I think just gave me even more momentum coming into the prep camp with the boys. And yeah, just from a physical point of view, just feel in great shape in the training sessions, in the matches that we've played. So, you know, throughout our career, you need a lot of things to go your way and fall into place at the right time, and I feel like it has for this tournament. So for sure, it's one of the best opportunities we will have as a team to win it, and I think everyone is eager to, you know, to first of all just start well tomorrow and you know, prove that we have the capabilities of going far in this tournament.
Harry Kane, Thomas Tuchel talking about the tournament, and Thomas Tuchel discussing not having Tino Livramento because of injury and bringing in Trevor Chalobah, and now what he's able to do with the chess pieces that he has on hand. Bring in Trevor Chalobah to do one thing, and then you can have other players going in other directions. Abby has put in the timeline the thought by some that Lionel Messi is getting preferential treatment from officials / FIFA, especially after the studs to the calf yesterday in the match against Algeria. I would say it's a yellow. And for an athlete to get special treatment, there have been obviously folks that are, Jordan rules would say whatever. We know that they come across, and I would say that that he got lucky in this one for not getting any kind of card. And you look at Messi's reaction, and I'm staring at the quick cycle of it, but yeah, the player for Algeria is kind of cutting across Messi, and you see Messi make contact, and it's flush. I mean, it is flush. It is straight up studs to the calf. I would probably say that the challenge on Mandi should have been a yellow. I think it should have been a card. Mandi was kind of going sideways. And so Messi, he's behind him, and Mandi is working across. So Mandi, picture it this way if you're staring at it. So Mandi's going from right to left. Messi is kind of running perpendicular and trying to find a way around Mandi's right shoulder to get to the ball. Mandi's going the other direction. Messi's having to work around the right shoulder, and it ends up as studs to the calf. I mean, it's for me, like I said, it's a yellow. And I think that should have been the most expected outcome. But the idea that he didn't get a card in that, and the whole preferential treatment thing, I'm not necessarily into the whole preferential treatment thing, because it would have to be a conspiracy of so many individuals that every crew would have to, that is tied to an Argentina match in this tournament, would have to have a conversation with the head of officiating, if not multiple folks from FIFA. And the more people that you let into a conversation, the odds are that someone's going to talk. So if it's literally all of these, at the beginning, let's play this scenario out. If at the beginning of the tournament, you have all of the referees in a room, all the refs, all the ARs, everybody. So this group of 250? If somebody's mad, at whatever, for whatever reason, then you are going to end up with someone talking at some point. Well, yeah, we had a meeting. When we had our all hands on deck meeting, they told us this. That's too many people under one theoretical roof to sit there and all agree to preferential treatment. Hey, if you get a Messi game, hey, if you get a Cristiano Ronaldo game, lay off. Because then someone at the end of the tournament, or even in tournament, if they feel aggrieved for one reason or another, they're going to talk about it, and they're going to sit there and go, well, we were told. That's too many people under one roof for something like that to be the case. Should have been a yellow because of what Messi was trying to do. Like I said, studs to the calf, for me, that's a yellow. He got lucky. So, Abby, it was the same crew that did the World Cup final 4 years ago. Yes, it was. I think Simon Marciniak was downstairs. I think it was, or Simon Marciniak was attached to it. I think he was the VAR upstairs. So, yeah, but it was the same crew in that circle for this match. So, like I said, for anything like that, for it to be anything where you're supposed to give preferential treatment, that's too many people that would have to know. And if somebody's mad, they're going to say something. So that's where I am with it. I know, Abby, you hold you and I disagree on this one, but I still think it should have been a yellow from what I saw. But for it to be a universal overarching thing with all of the referees that are brought in by FIFA, hey, now if you get any of these guys, we got to keep them in the match. Preferential treatment. Jordan rules, I don't know if they're in the back of minds, but I don't think they necessarily apply. Like I said, it's too many people that would have to know the same piece of information. And if somebody in that dome of secrecy gets mad, they're going to say something about it. So, should have been a card. Messi got lucky. And so we'll keep an eye on that. But remember, you got yellow card accumulation too. You got to keep an eye on that now. You got to keep an eye on that. So that's what I think with the Messi call anyway. Okay, so with that happening, we've also got on the board interviews from the U.S. side of things, and they are getting ready for their time in match number 2. Heading on, it's Friday afternoon, and so as things are continuing to progress, U.S. goes in front of microphones. Max Arston, by the way, was in front of microphones with our friend Chris Doran with an audience heading back to Columbus. And here is part of that conversation with Chris Doran and Max Arston about Max's time with the men's national team and getting ready for match day 2.
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, I feel like when I'm there in the moment, I don't really think about it. But then after you have a chance to reflect and you understand like how just awesome and amazing it was. But yeah, I mean, obviously it was packed. It was loud, like really loud every time we scored. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's a World Cup. So obviously everything is going to be magnified and the magnitude of the moment, you feel it. But more than anything, I'm just happy that, we won and kind of started it off with a bang and, have all the USA fans excited. I think that's very important for our energy and mentality, like going through this tournament.
There's been a lot of positive talk about the USA's performance in that game against Paraguay. How do you keep things in perspective as you prepare for the matchup against Australia?
Yeah, I think, obviously it's good. Everyone's talking good about us, but it's only one game and there's 2 more games and we want to top the group. And I was saying this before, like I think just we have a massive point to prove, like the mentality of this group and the energy ever since I got here, May 26th has just been like everyone's hungry. I think the coaching staff does a good job of making training very intense, very much like everyone has an opportunity to show what they can do, and try and grab the opportunity. So like you said, it was a good win, but you can't get too high and you can't get too low, and we have a job to do. And yeah, we're looking forward to Australia because, I mean, they just won, so we have to try and show what we can do against them.
Have you had the opportunity to connect with Steven Moreira after his performance against Spain yesterday?
Yes, I was watching the first half, but then I had to go to training. But I sent him a picture of me watching the game, and I texted him obviously after, like, well done, because that's an unbelievable result for himself and his country. And yeah, I'm super happy for him. Like it was really cool and like a crazy moment to see him on that stage playing against Spain, who, I mean, arguably can win the tournament, of course. And yeah, I just told him like I'm really happy for him, and it was cool to see him play. And he wished me luck in my next games as well. So we're keeping in touch, and I'm happy for him. Until we play them, I'm happy for him.
Until we play them, I'm happy for him. Max Arston, defender for the U.S. men's national team, in front of an assembled audience in Columbus. And you heard the voice of our friend Chris Doran as Chris was catching up with Max for his show that he does up there in Columbus, Ohio. This is SDH AM. John here, you there. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. And as a part of all of this, it is also time to catch up with Sebastian Berhalter and with Timothy Weah and find out what's on their mind. They are practicing in Irvine, California, before they hop on a plane, head up to Seattle, and are off and running for the matchup on Friday afternoon. So here is part of the conversation that was had with Tim Weah after practice as the U.S. is getting ready for match day 2 in the group.
I expect a very good Australian side. I mean, we know they could be aggressive. They have some quality, so hopefully it'll be an amazing game to watch for you guys and an amazing game to play.
Did all of you guys expect it to win? What was talked about inside the locker room after the game?
Honestly, nothing's ever expected. We treat every team with respect. We just came with a game plan that played to our favor, and we ended up playing really aggressive, attacking really well, and defending really well, and it worked out super well. So I mean, once you prepare and once you have the game plan, the results like that are always going to come. So
Tim Weah after practice in Irvine, and so now that Tim Weah has done it, and it sounds like they were standing next to like either a fan or an air conditioner. So that was just either that or an aircraft carrier engine, one of the two. I was looking at the video, and thanks once again to our friends from US Soccer and Veritone for this one and the Sebastian Berhalter coming up here in a sec. But it just sounded like when I was playing it out just then, it sounded like they were standing next to an aircraft carrier. They weren't, but anyway, it sounded that way. Also in front of the microphones, the assembled microphones. Sebastian Berhalter, midfielder for the U.S. men's national team. And here's part of the conversation that they had with Sebastian getting ready for match day 2. Once again, courtesy of our friends, U.S. Soccer and Baritone.
Yeah, he was at the game and just going up in the stands, which was awesome, seeing his face. 4 years ago, I was waiting for him to come up in the stands, and now, he's waiting for me to come up in the stands. And, yeah, that was special. And, the letter was something unexpected, and that I was, just so, just when you hear words that your dad's proud of you, it means a lot. So it was a really cool moment.
Sebastian, I spoke to some USA fans here today at the stadium. They say that this is the best USA team that they've ever seen, and they are ready to win the world champion, the World Cup. What would be your message to them, like maybe on your horses, or yes, why not to drink beer? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I think that's what makes us American. That attitude and that almost that confidence to believe and to believe in the team. Definitely we still have a lot more games to go and against a lot of good teams, but yeah, we want people to believe. We want people to be excited about this team.
Sebastian Berhalter, part of the conversation, had in Irvine, California, as the U.S. men's national team gets ready for match day number 2. Now, on the flip side of this, we were talking with Dylan Butler about Canada, and it is interesting roster decisions that have to be made, or starting 18 decisions, or match day 18s and starting 11 decisions for Jesse Marsh. So the question was brought, and once again, this is from our friend Christian Jack. He's wondering if Canada's playing mind games ahead of the matchup with Qatar. Questions are there. It is trying to figure out, will you see Alphonso Davies? Do you change up your striker group? Should Kyle Larin start? Will Jonathan David and Ali Ahmed start? All of these questions as you get ready for the matchup with Canada in match day number 2 in the tournament, and it is a heavy day going up against Qatar. Once again, you're a minus 345 favorite tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Qatar is a plus 1,000 dog. Your draw is a plus 475. You've got to get a result here. You don't want to leave everything up to chance against Switzerland in match day last, trying to get a point or a win to get into the knockouts. So all of those questions are being put to the fore, being put to a lot of the players when it comes to the Canadian men's national team. Here's the assembled microphones with Stephen Eustachio about match day number 2, courtesy of our friends at One Soccer.
We obviously want to start this game the best way possible, something that we couldn't do against Bosnia, but at the same time, we know that we have the weapons to win, but it's going to be a hard game, like all. I don't know if he can play. I mean, he hasn't been training with us, as you guys know. So, I mean, but what I can say he can bring to the team, he can bring his leadership, which is very important for us. Obviously, you guys know Fonzie better than me. He's probably the best dribbler in this competition. He can play as a left back, as an inverted winger, as a winger, up top. I mean, he can do everything. And when he plays, it opens up everything for us. So, I mean, hopefully he can get back as quick as possible. I don't know when that is, but we're going to try to make sure that he plays this tournament. We're such a different team, and them as well. I think if you look at the group stage right now, they have the same possibilities as us to go through the group, right? So they're going to come with everything. Obviously, we all know Julian Lopetegui's experience in these types of games. I mean, it's going to be a very hard game, but at the same time, we're ready for it. We're ready for it. I think the Bosnia game was a good game for us to get confidence, to score our first goal, to get our first point in the World Cup, something that we didn't accomplish in Qatar. But at the same time, like, we have to deserve to be in such a stage like this, and I think we're going to do it.
Stephen Eustachio, one of the veteran presences, sometimes with the captain's armband for the Canadian men's national team, as they get ready for their matchup against Qatar tomorrow night. And let me check the venue really quickly. I just want to make sure that, let's see, I'm way ahead of myself in the schedule. So go back. Okay, it is at BC Place. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how both teams respond to the surface at BC Place. I want to. That's one of the things I'm going to look at. 6 o'clock kick with that activity in Group B, behind the action that is at SoFi with Switzerland and Bosnia-Herzegovina. So Canada and Qatar will know what they need to do when it comes to either keeping the beat or surpassing to get ready for match day number 3, where Canada will take on, where Canada takes on Switzerland, Qatar takes on Bosnia and Herzegovina. So that's the dynamic in play tomorrow in the 3 o'clock and the 6 o'clock hour with what's going on in Group B. Along those lines, Alistair Johnston was also a part of all of the assembled microphones getting ready for everything. And did I load Alistair Johnston? I thought I did, but I guess I didn't. Anyway, okay, so we'll play Alistair Johnston tomorrow because we got stuff to talk about. So that's the rundown with Canada, the United States, with Portugal, and with England getting into today. We mentioned Bruce Arena and the contract extension. We mentioned what's going on with Austin FC. Now, getting into some of the news and stuff that is just kind of out there in the ether that we might need to know about just a bit. A U.S. group has picked up yet another team in the National League of the English football pyramid. Dawn Group International has picked up Tamworth in the National League. And this from our buddy Ben Jacobs and others, that Dawn Group International, once again, offices in Oklahoma City and in Jacksonville, has pieced stuff together, and they now are adding to their multi-club marketing idea. And they own the Oklahoma City franchise in the League of Clubs, and now they're going to the National League to add Tamworth to the mix. There's been in negotiations for a while. Abdullah Ashraf, confirmed as the new owner of Tamworth Football Club, paid a significant sum to take charge via U.S. firm Dawn Group International. Previous owners Bob Andrews and Steve Lathbury done an amazing job with the club over the last 40 years. Back-to-back promotions, FA Cup runs, stabilizing the club in the National League. And so, quoting Ashraf, now it's time to build on those successes, take the club to even greater heights, intending to make the dream of Tamworth playing in the EFL a reality. Dawn Group, a real estate firm, and their CEO once again driving the acquisitions. You can look on the internet and you can find Dawn Group International. We've sent them a note, and we are familiar with their executive vice president from his time in the past with other franchises and other leagues. So we're efforting a conversation about multi-level marketing or multi-club marketing schemes and ideas with Dawn Group International, as they've now picked up a team in the National League. Didn't know if you knew this. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is on Ipswich's list of options to replace Kieran McKenna. Gary O'Neill is also on that list. Also, yesterday late, Ruben Amorim was confirmed, 3-year deal for AC Milan. And the Roberto Martinez news, open to a Premier League return, hasn't ruled out taking another international job. That was yesterday from Alex Crook. Then, as things continue to go, Spurs had signed Jan-Paul van Hecke from Brighton for $52 million. We talked about that. It was 50 plus 5, and now David Ornstein from The Athletic is saying 52 after 2 rejected offers. Also on the board, we'd mentioned what's going on with Sandro Tonali. Spurs were a serious contender, bid of around £85 million plus add-ons, taking the package to around $100 million expected to be considered. Thomas Partey lost his appeal against being denied entry to Canada following a hearing in Ottawa. Manchester United, we mentioned Marcus Rashford as a part of it. Yesterday, when all of the Roberto Martinez stuff came to the fore, the Portuguese Football Federation came out with a statement saying that they're aligned, focused exclusively on the World Cup, as they have publicly stated, and that Martinez is going to be leaving the role after the World Cup. So I'm trying to see if there's anything that we might have missed along the line. Late yesterday, Martinez mentioned it in the MD-1, and he said at the MD-1, my contract ends after the World Cup. That's not news. It's a fact. So keep an eye on Roberto Martinez and his future. Late night last night, by the way, Ali Olwan scored Jordan's first ever World Cup goal. So have that as your piece of history going forward. The daily attendance record for the World Cup, broken. 4 matches Tuesday set a new record, most attended day in the history of the tournament. 281, 223. breaks the previous record of 277.070 set in 1994 in the United States. Combined figure came from matches with France and Senegal at the Meadowlands had 80,545. Kansas City was just over 69,000. Austria and Jordan had 68.5, and Iraq and Norway in Foxborough had 63,106. Current average attendance at the 26 World Cup is 65,483, on track to surpass the tournament's best cumulative record of 3.5 million folks, once again, 1994, in the United States. Adrian Rabiot has criticized the standard of the pitch at the Meadowlands, saying it felt more like an artificial surface. Told reporters the pitch, I don't even know if you can call it that. It felt more like an artificial surface, quite hard and quite rigid. So we'll keep an eye on that going forward. So now into the gossip, rumor, and innuendo part. It was, let's see if it's posted from our favorite sources. And yes, it is. There we go. Okay, so Ruben Diaz, subject of interest from Real Madrid. Liverpool accelerating their interest in pursuit of Yan Diomande as they look to PSG to beat PSG for the signature. Real Madrid weighing up a 90 million euro move for Ruben Diaz as they look to strengthen their backline. The Mirror has revealed that. Portuguese international emerged as a top target for Real Madrid, keen to add more experience and leadership to the defense. Under contract at City through June of 2029, Madrid monitoring the situation closely. Liverpool accelerating their pursuit of Yan Diomande from Leipzig, trying to beat PSG, according to Team Talk. New Reds boss Andoni Iraola is an admirer, ideal fit for his attacking system. Liverpool have already held talks over the deal. Leipzig demanding a fee of around 130 million euro for Yan Diomande. Arsenal stepped up their pursuit of Roma midfielder Manu Kone and are reported to have reached an agreement with the player's reps, according to Gazzetta. Moved ahead of Atletico de Madrid in the race to land the international, who's playing for France in the World Cup. Holding out for a transfer fee is Roma, around 50 million euro, and the Italian club needs to balance their books. Al Hilal considering a move for Barcelona winger Rafinha ahead of next season, according to Globo. Saudi Pro League side renewed their interest in the international, aware he's unlikely to discuss his future until after the World Cup. Remains under contract at Barca. Key player in Hansi Flick's plans. Al Hilal preparing a significant offer as they continue their push to recruit another marquee attacking star. Real Madrid midfielder Eduardo Camavinga is on Internazionale's summer shortlist, according to Mundo Deportivo. France international, who is not at the World Cup, fully committed to Los Blancos. That may change over the summer as he is not in Jose Mourinho's plans. Inter president Giuseppe Marotta reported to have spoken with Florentino Perez about players at the Corazon Classic at the Bernabeu. Bernardo Silva confirmed Real Madrid 2-year deal. Lyon signed former Real Madrid midfielder Caroline Veer on a 3-year deal. Lyon were in advanced talks with the Scottish international, confirmed her departure on a free after a 4-year deal, and then we mentioned Ruben Amorim. So here's your sources. We mentioned Jan-Paul Van Hecke. We mentioned Tonali. We mentioned Rashford. Bayern Munich want to extend Michael Olise's contract until 31 after the conclusion of the World Cup. That's from Nicolo Schira. Juve demanding a transfer fee of at least 40 million euro this summer for the transfer of Andrea Cambiasso, who's wanted by Barca and Chelsea. That's from Ekrem Konur. Leverkusen and Lyon advanced negotiations for Afonso Moreira. Details need to be clarified. And the final transfer fee expected to be in the range of 30 million euro. That's from Sky Germany. Football Insider. Brighton is unwilling to meet Spurs' 60 million euro asking price for the signing of Luka Vuskovic. Sky Italy, Atalanta keen on signing Rangers midfielder Nicolas Raskin, top target for Maurizio Sarri and at Atalanta. Everton exploring a potential move for Juve forward Luis Openda, which would take the form of an initial loan deal with a permanent transfer clause. That's from Football Insider. Angel Gomez from Marseille, attracting interest from Coventry and Hull. League One club reportedly open to offers. That's from Team Talk. Ben Jacobs, we mentioned Lee Han-byom, the Michelin defender, subject of growing interest from clubs in England and Germany. Fabrizio Romano, Como have opened talks with Young Boys over the proposed transfer of left-back Jawan Hajam. And then Paris FC considering appointing Liam Rosenior if Antoine Comboire leaves the club. That's from Foot Mercato. So that is the rundown of your gossip, rumor, and innuendo this morning. And obviously what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it is brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. And that link is important. Helps us out, helps them out, helps you out. You get more streaming services for the A and B leagues for a lot of countries in South America. You get TVV out of Venezuela if you want to add it. CDO out of Chile if you want to get there. Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru. Teisei out of Argentina, and their wall-to-wall coverage with Argentina has been a blast. Also, you get all the BNs, which means Middle East and North Africa are yours. European leagues are yours. All the CAF is yours as well. AFCON is there. All the qualifiers. Libertadores, Sudamericana, it's all there for you. At Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Big FOX has your first two matchups today in the World Cup, Portugal, DR Congo, England, and Croatia. FS1 has the nightcaps, Ghana and Panama, Uzbekistan, and Colombia. ESPN, the mothership's going League One tonight. 9 o'clock, Madison and Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne travels to Madison with an 8-game unbeaten streak. So if you're really wanting sickos work, League One, ESPN, 9 o'clock. Telemundo's got your quadruple header. Fox O&E has your quadruple header. Peacock has your quadruple header. And that is all of the matches for today. Once again, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. So once again, today, let me get to this. The South Korean media have apparently have been shut out by the national team because of leaked audio. Let me see if I can find the background on this story here. So, and also checking headlines on the way out the door. So I think we're okay in that. But I'm trying to find the story having to do with the South Korean media and them being shut out by the national team because of leaked audio that came out. Hang on just a second. So I'm trying to find it. Come on now. All right. So, all right. So if I do it this way, so if I look for South Korean media leaked audio, and that was how I ended up getting there. Of course I did. According to Football Asian, the Korea Republic has boycotted their domestic media at the World Cup after alleged derogatory remarks made about Captain Sun Young-min were leaked online. The controversy began after a mic conversation mocked the star's military service. South Korea got the win over Czechia. They get Mexico June 18, South Africa June 24. According to Football Asian, the Korean Football Association issued an official statement condemning its domestic media after a leaked mic conversation revealed derogatory remarks about Captain Sun Young-min. Took place during an open training session where Sun was seen running slightly away from the main group. Conversation had a reporter mocking Sun's exemption from mandatory military service, and it was heard on the mic, quote, he didn't even properly serve in the military. Reporter appeared to mock Sun Young-min's 3-week basic training stint, commenting he was exempted from serving 21 months in the military, legally earned his exemption after leading South Korea to a gold medal at the 2018 Asian Games. Led to widespread criticism of domestic media, boycotting any media interaction. After the win from Czechia, Sun Young-min did not interact with the media at the mix zone. Secretary of South Korean FIFA World Cup press corps has resigned amid a clash with the team as well. Corps has accepted full responsibility after the breach of ethical regulations and overall breakdown in relations. Another scheduled interview with midfielder Hwang In-byum was also canceled back on Sunday. Reporters mentioned scheduling conflicts, allegedly, although it appears to be a part of the boycott of the KFA and the national team players. So neither side likes the other, and neither side's going to be getting any kind of sound whatsoever when it comes to the Korea Republic and the national team. So that's kind of that's where that is. Multi-club marketing and multi-level marketing, is it the same thing? No, because multi-level marketing means that the folks at the top of the pyramid are getting all of the spoils, and if you're below that top level in that pyramid, and this is how I know, because I did new skin when I was in college, and I was not good at it. And I had two people approach me to do MLMs. I said, sure, but I'm not good. So everything that you think you're getting from me will end up just not going very well. And I was right. But the second and third level clubs that would be a part of this is like you have the parent, and then you have like if it's City Football Group, say, then you've got CFG, you've got PSG, Manchester City, you've got everything that goes down from there. So it is interest, but the pipeline helps you going up. And you're not, if you are a good multi-club, if you're a good multi-club organization, if you're in a good MCO, then you're going to continue to reinvest at the bottom to help things at the top. In an MLM, you're doing all the work on your own, and whatever happens, happens. If nothing happens, then no one benefits. So it's MCOs and MLMs are a little different. So that was New Skin and Herbalife down here to wrap things up. So once again today, let me remind you about the airing of AST and everything that is attached to that. Once again, Christian Pulisic status is day to day. Aren't we all? It is at 10 o'clock tonight, normal time. Atlanta Soccer tonight, 92.9 The Game, the Odyssey app, 92.9 YouTube channel. That's going to go from 10 to 11. And then it's going to be stoppage time in the three-dimensional experience for AST. 11 o'clock, second half of Colombia and Uzbekistan. That's going to be on 92.9 The Game YouTube channel exclusively. But from 10 to 11, Atlanta Soccer tonight, 92.9 The Game, 92.9thegame.com, Odyssey app, 92.9 YouTube channel. That's going to be Atlanta Soccer tonight, the three-dimensional experience. Then 11 o'clock stoppage time on the YouTube channel, and they're going to walk through Colombia and Uzbekistan with Jason. And by the way, if you've got a good couple of minutes, your required reading for the day, go to soccerdownhere.net. And Jason has pieced together a history lesson on how Broad Street, where South Downtown is more integral to Atlanta's soccer history than you may have realized. That's your rundown for today. That is your required reading for today, is reading that story on Broad Street and South Downtown because of the brew house opening. Its second location there in Soto. So Jason walks down Broad Street and lets you know how in-depth the relationship is with soccer and Broad Street in South Downtown. That's at soccerdownhere.net. I've read it. It's a hell of a read. All very cool. So enjoy the matches today and enjoy it every single day. Spain looks like they're planning lineup changes for the matchup against Saudi Arabia. Tori Penso has been assigned to the Czechia-South Africa match here in Atlanta, making her only the second woman ever to take charge of a men's World Cup match following Stephanie Frappart in 22. And she's based in France. And so it's going to be Tori Penso, Brooke Mayo, Catherine Nesbitt, all American officiating crew at Atlanta Stadium for Czechia and South Africa. That's going to be on your Thursday. So that is another go round of us here at SDH AM. Back at it again tomorrow morning, 9. No, tomorrow's Thursday. 8 o'clock start tomorrow, game day. So it's an 8 o'clock start tomorrow, game day. We'll go through what happened tonight. And then 8 to 9:30 is tomorrow. So we are early tomorrow because of noon match day at Atlanta Stadium. So tomorrow is going to be very, very, it's going to be a day that's going to fly. But at 9 o'clock tomorrow, very, very cool stuff. I don't know if you have heard or if you've been kind of wandering around with what's going on with all the signage that you see involving where you need to go for World Cup and things like that. So SCAD, the Savannah College of Art and Design, has been part and parcel to the to all of that attention to detail that we've seen when it comes to welcoming fans to Atlanta. Savannah College of Art and Design partnered with the host committee, the chamber, and the city to develop the wayfinding campaign, the art activations, and the social media strategy to support the matches here in Atlanta. 200 students and alumni from SCAD, from a lot of the top-ranked degree programs, contributed to initiatives with the host committee, interactive art, panoramic campaigns, integrated technology. And so it's about last mile wayfinding, murals, art installations, all that stuff. We're going to catch up with SCAD tomorrow and find out about this, what it took to get from farm to table, basically, and what the response has been like. And so we are going to catch up with folks from SCAD, and it's going to be really cool to get the lowdown about the campaign and the feedback and all this. Our Associate Chair of Graphic Design, who is the faculty lead on the SCAD project, Sam Eckersley, is going to join us at 9 o'clock tomorrow. He'll be our interview before we get you into news of the day and get out by 9:30 so we can head down to the stadium. So Sam Eckersley, SCAD's Associate Chair of Graphic Design, the faculty lead on all the signage that you're seeing and all the campaigns that you're seeing. He's going to be on with us at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we're going to break it down. So tomorrow is early, 8 to 9:30. Then we're going to Atlanta Stadium, and we're going to catch up with the match there with Brooke Mayo, Catherine Nesbitt, Tori Penso as your main ref crew there for that match. So that's tomorrow. And then we have Friday getting stacked. We've got guests early. And then 10 o'clock hour at 10:30 and 11. We're going long on Friday. 10:30 on Friday is going to be Nico Moreno. 11 on Friday is going to be Nino Torres, since we can't talk to them on Thursday. So we're going long on Friday to make up for the 8 to 9:30 on tomorrow. So that's the rundown for that. Keep you posted on anything, everything going on. Follow SDH on all your social media platforms at Soccer Down Here on YouTube, Facebook, Blue Sky, the 280 character app, TikTok, Instagram, all the places. That's where we are, because much like Oxygen, we're around the corner from everywhere. So fun as always to catch up with all you folks today. Enjoy your games today. Back at it again tomorrow. And Mucha Platiel, play it safe. Since it's the end of the show, that means we get to do this. Back at it again in the morning. Maybe we'll see if Abby will be there tomorrow. They needed more volunteers. Oh, Abby's got pins. Look out. She's going card shopping, Father's Day. Okay. So Abby's got pins. And if you're big into pins, it's check with Abby. There's like this big pin that's like $150. It's like a belt buckle I saw in the store. I'm not dropping $150 on a pin that looks like a belt buckle. But anyway, Golden Retriever Brain is taking over. We're going to go watch games. Have fun. Stay dry. Be safe. Back at it again in less than 22 hours. Since it's the end of the show, that means we get to do this. And we'll do it again tomorrow. Mucha Platiel.